Someone attacked you. Maybe it was in a meeting, in front of people who mattered. Maybe it was a message that came out of nowhere, that questioned your character, your work, your worth. Maybe it was someone who smiled at you one day and undermined you the next. And the moment it happened, every instinct you had fired at once. Explain yourself, correct the record, make them see that they're wrong, that you're right, that this is not who you are. So you defended yourself, and it didn't work. It never works. Not because the defense wasn't true, not because you weren't right, but because the moment you open your mouth to explain, to justify, to prove, you have already lost. Machiavelli knew this. He knew it 500 years ago, watching princes crumble, not at the hands of their enemies, but at the hands of their own desperate need to be understood. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what he knew. Why defending yourself is the most dangerous thing you can do in a power struggle. What happens in the mind of everyone watching the moment you start to explain? And the single shift, the precise psychological move that flips the power instantly, without a single argument, without raising your voice, without winning a single debate. Stay with me. This one will change how you handle every conflict for the rest of your life. Before we talk about what to do, we need to understand why you defend yourself in the first place. Because the pull, the almost physical urge to correct a false narrative, to explain your intention, to make someone see what actually happened, is one of the strongest psychological drives a human being has. It has a name. Psychologists call it the need for cognitive closure, the inability to leave a story unresolved, the deep discomfort of being misread, misrepresented, misunderstood, and doing nothing about it. And that discomfort feels like injustice, because it is, in a way. Someone has told a false story about you, or a partial story, or a story filtered through their agenda, their insecurity, their need to diminish you. And every cell in your body wants to stand up and say, that is not true. I understand that feeling, and I want you to know that feeling is not weakness. It is deeply human. But here is what Machiavelli understood that most people never figure out until the damage is already done. The feeling is human. Acting on it in a power struggle is fatal. Here is the thing nobody tells you about defending yourself. It is not what you say that matters. It is what the act of defending signals. When you defend yourself before any neutral observer, before any audience, conscious or not, it signals that the attack landed. Think about that. If someone called you a unicorn, you wouldn't defend yourself. You wouldn't write a paragraph explaining why you are in fact not a unicorn. You would laugh, or you would say nothing, because the claim is so far from your reality, it doesn't require a response. But the moment you feel the pull to defend, it means somewhere, at some level, the attack found a nerve, a fear, a doubt, an uncertainty about yourself that you haven't fully resolved. And the audience, whether it's one person or an entire room, feels that. They may not be able to articulate it, they may not even be conscious of it, but something in them registers that the defense was necessary, that the attack required a response, that there is something there. And now, what was a rumor has become a conversation. What was an accusation has become a debate. And the moment it becomes a debate, you are fighting on their ground, by their rules, for an outcome they defined. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who argues against every criticism only elevates the criticism, because attention is confirmation, and confirmation is the oxygen that keeps the fire alive. There is a second, even more damaging signal that defense sends. It signals that you need their understanding. And the moment you need something from someone, they have power over you. This is one of the oldest and most brutal truths in the study of power, and nowhere does it cut deeper than here. Because what you are fundamentally communicating when you defend yourself is this: your opinion of me matters enough that I am willing to stop what I was doing, turn to face you, and spend my energy trying to change it. That is not power. That is surrender dressed up as dignity. Machiavelli observed something in his years studying power that cuts straight to the bone. He observed that the most powerful people in any room, in any conflict, in any dynamic, were almost never the ones who reacted. They were the ones who made others react to them. Read that again. They were the ones who made others react to them. Not because they were louder, not because they were more aggressive, not because they had more facts or better arguments or stronger evidence, but because they understood something profound about the architecture of social power. Whoever reacts follows. Whoever holds still leads. Think about every power dynamic you have ever observed. In a negotiation, the first person to show urgency loses. In a confrontation, the first person to raise their voice has already revealed their limit. In a room of strangers, the person who tries hardest to be light is light the least. Because trying is visible. Needing is visible. Reacting is visible. And visibility in a power struggle is vulnerability. Machiavelli embodied what we might call the principle of composure. Not coldness, not indifference. Composure. The deliberate, cultivated, almost architectural steadiness of a person who knows exactly who they are and does not require anyone else's agreement to remain that way. And here is where the trick, the specific, precise move that Machiavelli understood comes into play. When someone attacks you, when someone accuses or undermines or publicly questions your worth, the power does not lie in having the right answer. The power lies in not needing to give one. Let me show you exactly how this works. Someone attacks you. Maybe they question your decision. Maybe they imply in front of others that you don't know what you're doing. Maybe they send a message that is designed to destabilize you. The average person responds immediately, emotionally, with explanation, justification, evidence, all the reasons why the attack is wrong. And in doing so, they hand the attacker exactly what the attacker wanted. Engagement, reaction, proof that the arrow found its mark. The Machiavellian person does something entirely different. They pause. Not a theatrical pause, not a dramatic silence designed to signal that they are above it. A genuine pause. The pause of a person who is genuinely unbothered. And then, they do one of three things. They redirect, they reframe, or they simply continue. Let me break each one down. The first is the redirect. Someone attacks your decision in a meeting. The average person says, "Actually, what I meant was," or "You're misunderstanding the situation," or "If you'd looked at the full data." The Machiavellian person says, "Interesting point. Let's make sure we're focused on the outcome here," and moves on. Notice what just happened. They did not engage with the attack. They did not validate it by refuting it. They did not signal that it landed. They acknowledged and redirected. And the room, without being told, without even being conscious of it, received a signal. That person is focused on what matters. The attacker is a distraction. The second is the reframe. Someone implies publicly that you lack experience, that you haven't earned the position you hold. The average person lists their credentials, their history, their achievements. Defensive, breathless. The Machiavellian person says, "You might be right. Let's see what the results say," and holds the eye contact one beat longer than comfortable. Notice what just happened. They agreed without agreeing. They shifted the judgment from opinion to outcome. They moved the battlefield from a place where the attacker had power to a place where they have power. Because now, the conversation is not about what someone thinks of you. It is about what you will do. And that, you control. The third and the most powerful is simply continuing. This is the most powerful and the hardest. Someone says something designed to diminish you, and you continue exactly what you were doing. No pause that acknowledges the attack. No look that betrays the sting. No shift in your energy, your posture, your momentum. You simply continue, as if the most natural thing in the world is that what they said was not worth interrupting yourself for. This is not arrogance. This is not dismissal. This is the most accurate possible signal you can send about where you stand in relation to their opinion of you. It says, without a single word, "I know who I am, and I do not require your agreement to remain that way."
Now let's talk about why this works. Not just that it works, but why. Because understanding the mechanism is what allows you to apply it, not just in the moments you remember, but automatically, instinctively, in the moments that catch you off guard. When someone attacks you and you defend, the social contract that everyone present is unconsciously operating under reads the interaction like this. Attacker made a claim. Defender responded. Therefore, the claim required a response. Therefore, the claim has merit. This is not logical. It is deeply psychological. It is the same reason a denial always keeps a story alive. The louder the insistence, the deeper the seed plants itself in the listener's mind. The same reason, the more someone insists they don't care, the more obvious it becomes that they do. But when you don't defend, when you redirect or reframe or simply continue, the social contract reads like this. Attacker made a claim. The target didn't respond. Therefore, the target did not consider the claim worth responding to. Therefore, we probably shouldn't either. The power shifts. Not because you argued better, not because you proved that you were right, but because, in the most primal, most instinctive, most unavoidable way, you signaled that you were above the fight. And here is the part that Machiavelli understood with a clarity that most people only arrive at after years of painful experience. The person who attacks you needs you to respond. Think about why someone attacks. Not in war, not in a courtroom. In the everyday, social, professional, relational spaces where most of us live our lives. Why does someone undermine you publicly? Why does someone question your capability in front of others? Why does someone send the message designed to destabilize? Because they want a reaction. Not because they want the truth. Not because they want resolution. They want to see that they affected you. They want the confirmation that you felt it. That is the payoff. When you defend, you give them the payoff. When you don't, you take it away. And an attacker with no payoff has no power.
They are a fire you refused to give oxygen to. And fires without oxygen go out. I want to be honest with you about something. Everything I've described sounds clean in theory. Redirect, reframe, continue. In practice, it is one of the hardest things you will ever do. Because the attack doesn't always come from a stranger. Sometimes it comes from someone you trusted. Someone you worked alongside for years. Someone you loved. Someone whose opinion you genuinely cared about. And in those moments, the silence, the redirect, the simple act of continuing doesn't feel like power. It feels like swallowing something that is burning on the way down. I want you to know that feeling is real. And it is not weakness to feel it. The weakness is in letting it dictate your response. Machiavelli did not write for people who felt nothing. He wrote for people who felt everything and chose what to do with it anyway. The prince, in his model, was not an emotionless, calculating machine. He was a human being with fears and pride, and the same need to be understood that all of us carry. The difference was that he had learned to hold that need without being held by it. And here is the other truth that nobody tells you about not defending yourself. It does not mean the pain goes away. It means the pain stays where it belongs. Inside you, where you can sit with it, process it, learn from it, in private. Not on display for the person who caused it to feed from. There is a kind of dignity in that. A quiet, unshakable dignity that no attack can reach. Because the attacker can only touch what you show them. And you have decided to show them nothing. Let me bring this into your real life. Because the principle is powerful. But principles without application are just philosophy. In the workplace, a colleague takes credit for your work or implies in a meeting that your idea was flawed, or goes around you to your superior with a version of events that doesn't quite match reality. The instinct is to correct the record, immediately, loudly, with evidence. The Machiavellian response is to let your next result speak in a language no one can argue with. Actions do not require defense. They require only continuation. In relationships, someone who matters to you accuses you of something you didn't do, or misreads your intention, or in a moment of anger says something that lands like a verdict. The instinct is to explain immediately, to go back over the events point by point, to make them understand that they are wrong, that you meant something different, that this is not who you are. The Machiavellian response is to wait, not out of coldness, out of respect for the conversation it actually deserves. Because a conversation held in the heat of an accusation is not a conversation. It is a war, with two people fighting for the right to be heard while neither is listening. Wait until the heat has passed. Wait until the other person is capable of receiving what you actually want to say. And then, speak once, clearly, calmly, without the need to be agreed with at the end of it, in public and online. This is the one that destroys careers, reputations, legacies in the modern world faster than anything else. Someone says something publicly about you, something wrong, something unfair, something that makes your hands tighten around your phone and your mind start composing the perfect, devastating response. Do not send it. I want to say that again, with everything Machiavelli understood about the permanence of public conflict. Do not send it. Every response in a public forum amplifies the original attack. Every engagement tells the algorithm, tells the audience, tells the world that this is a story worth following. The people who have survived the most vicious public attacks have survived not by fighting back, but by continuing, by producing their next work, making their next move, building the next thing, until the attack becomes a footnote in a story that turned out to be about something else entirely. I want to end by being completely honest about what this requires, because it would be easy to leave you with a strategy without telling you what it costs. And it does cost something. Not defending yourself means living with the discomfort of a false story being out there. Maybe for a day, maybe for a week, maybe in some cases for longer. It means trusting that your actions over time will say more than any defense ever could. And trusting that requires something that most people are still building. It requires a relationship with yourself that is so solid, so settled, so genuinely rooted that someone else's version of you cannot destabilize the version you know. This is the real work. Not the strategy, not the redirect, not the reframe. The real work is becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to defend themselves because they are so clear on who they are that the attack simply does not find purchase. Machiavelli, in exile, tortured, humiliated, stripped of everything, did not write a letter defending himself to the men who destroyed him. He wrote The Prince. He didn't argue with the people who had taken everything from him. He built something they could never take away. That is the answer. Not the perfect response, not the winning argument. The next thing, whatever that is for you. The next piece of work, the next decision, the next step in the direction that you were already going before they interrupted you. Let me bring it back to where we started. Someone attacked you, and every instinct said defend yourself. Now you know what that instinct costs. Now you know what it signals, what it gives away, what it hands to the very person who was trying to take something from you. And now you know the alternative. Not silence born of fear, silence born of certainty. Not stillness born of having nothing to say, stillness born of knowing that what you do will always outlast what they said. You are not going to get this right every time. Neither did Machiavelli. Neither did the greatest, most composed, most strategically brilliant people who ever lived. There will be moments when the attack comes and you react before you remember everything we talked about today. That is not failure. That is being human. But the next time, and the time after that, you will catch it a little faster. The pause will come a little easier. The redirect will feel a little more natural. Until one day, and this day does come for the people who practice this, someone will attack you, and you will feel almost nothing. Not because you are numb, not because you don't care, but because
You have built something inside yourself, so solid, so real, so entirely yours, that their words land and find nothing to hold on to. That is the power Machiavelli was pointing toward. Not dominance, not manipulation, self-sovereignty. The kind of power that cannot be given to you by anyone and cannot be taken by anyone, because it lives entirely inside you. If something in this video stopped you, if something landed in a place that needed to be reached, then you already know there is more where that came from.
hit subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly this kind of conversation. The ones that don't just inform you, the ones that change how you move through the world. And the notification bell, turn it on, because the person who shows up early, who doesn't wait to be served what everyone else is already watching, is the person who just understood everything this video was about. They don't wait to be told where to go. They've already decided. Be that person. You already are.